Okay, so I just hit record. Hey guys, how do I sound? How is the mic? Is it good? Give me a thumbs up. So this is going to be episode 1 of my new podcast. And episode 1 I figured is going to be about um just doing it anyways and stop making excuses, because that's what this is, guys. I have been wanting to do a podcast for the longest. Um and it's been excuse after excuse because we want things to be perfect. We want, or at least I'll speak for myself, right? I'm like, what should I call the podcast? What should I name the podcast? Who am I going to invite on the podcast? What am I going to talk about on the podcast? So I've known I wanted to do a podcast for the purpose of reaching more people, having different conversations with you guys, right? So for episode 1, I wanted to know, did you guys have any ideas of what I could name this podcast? If we don't come up with a name, it's just going to be called the Karolyne Podcast, because that's my name. So let me know if you have any ideas. What are some things that you guys would like me to talk about on here? But yeah, today we're talking about stop making excuses to have everything perfect, but just do the thing that has been burning inside for you to do. Just take the first step. Just listen to what God is telling you to do. And I believe that as you take that first step, He's going to continuously open door after door after door. I actually recently experienced this. I recently experienced just a series of doors and a ripple effect just opening for me. And it just starts off with giving God your yes, right? And when you take that first step, it just seems like everything else falls into place after that. And a lot of you guys know I have been on this journey of competing for Miss Florida USA. And recently I was interviewed on another podcast, and they're like, are you on tour? You've been doing all these interviews and all these things. Have you planned a tour? And I was like, I didn't plan a specific tour, but it's crazy because every time I do one thing, I meet someone or another door opens and I make this connection, and then I get invited to the next thing, and it's like this ripple effect. And it's really about just being in position for what God has for you, being prepared, being in expectation, because if you are in position, but you are not prepared for what is coming, then you may just miss your opportunity. So I believe that this podcast for me is one of those things where it's like having the podcast is me being in position. So I'm doing just that. I am excited about it. But I feel like a lot of times we get into our own heads, and maybe you can relate. We get into our own heads and we stop ourselves from doing the thing that we know we are called to do. And sometimes we can be our worst enemy, right? And we give all these excuses of why we can't do it, or we need the perfect camera, or we need the perfect this, the perfect that, or we don't think we're good enough, or we're worried about what so-and-so may think or what so-and-so may say. And it's like, just step out, just take that leap of faith and just see what happens, right? You'll never know until you start. You'll never know until you try. So I encourage you to go for it. Let me know in the comment section below, what is that thing, if there's anything right now in your life where you've been feeling to do it, but you're afraid to, whether that's, maybe it's writing a book, maybe it's leaving that job, maybe it's moving to a new place, maybe it's starting a podcast like me. What is that thing for you that for some reason there's intimidation there, for some reason there's fear there, right? And I really had to get over that fear. If we're just keeping it a buck and being honest about what it is, I had to get rid of that fear of not having it come across as perfect. And one thing I love about the season that I just walked out of that I really needed to have, if you don't know what I'm talking about, after this video, go watch my cinematic vlog videos where I talk about this last season I was in that was super slow. At points, I felt like I was bored. I was like, what am I doing? But God had me sit down, right? And I'm in a season right now where it's super active. I have a lot going on. I'm super busy. Some may call it booked and busy. But I had to really learn that my value does not come from perfection. My value does not come from being booked and busy. My value does not come from having a lot of stuff on my plate. My value does not come from my titles. My value does not come from my performance. One thing that I appreciated about that season is just learning and growing in who I am as a woman and knowing that God already gave me value. I am valuable because I am a daughter of God. I am valuable just being me, right? There's beauty in simply being. And that's something that I had to really sit in and really take in when I'm someone who's so used to seeing that there's praise in doing, right? We see people being praised for what they're doing, and we think that fruit is action. Fruit is what you're doing, but I want to remind you that fruit are those elements of your character, right? The fruit of the Spirit, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, love, and self-control. Those are how we identify ourselves. Those are how we know that, you're really walking in the Spirit and you're a child of God. That is the fruit that we should be looking for. But oftentimes we look for the fruit of your speaking engagement calendar. We look for the fruit of, what have you done? What are your accolades? And though those things are great, right? It's great for us to be active in our community. That's something I'm doing right now as Mrs. Lakeland USA. It's great for us to serve. It's great for us to serve in ministry and do all these things. Those things do not define us. And God does not love you any more or less because of your involvement, right? So I had to really sit in that and know that God's love for me is not contingent upon my works, but that I'm good enough and that He loves me just as I am. And I took a break last year, guys. I took a break from everything. I took a break from ministry. I took a break from serving because I had to make sure that my identity wasn't in that. And now that, things have picked back up, I can truly serve from a pure place because I'm not doing it for attention. I'm not doing it for man-made, man-given gratification and accolades. Like, I'm doing it from a pure place where it's like, I love this. I love to help. I love to serve. This is what I'm passionate about. This is my purpose. And this was recently like a huge revelation that it just dawned on me. I was in this community service meeting, and if you have not checked out my vlog, Road to Miss USA episode 2, check that out. You'll see what meeting I'm talking about. And I was in this meeting, and it just dawned on me, just the reality of how much people in this world are dying, how much people in this world are hurting, how much people in this world are hopeless and looking for a hope, looking for a light, who desire Jesus. And I just could not hold it in, guys. I got so emotional. I had to get on my face and just cry out to God because it just hit me so heavy. This is my purpose. This is what I'm here for. Simply to serve those who are in need, those who are less fortunate, those who are hurting, those who are broken. That is my purpose. But even in that, even in knowing my purpose, not even my purpose defines me. Not even my purpose validates me. because outside of God, I am nothing. And some of us are looking for purpose outside of God, but you can't find purpose outside of God. You can only find purpose within Him. So, I just had that encounter. That was a transformative moment for me in that meeting that I had. And I just felt like that break that I needed, that break that I took, was necessary to get me to the place where I am today, where I'm like, okay, no more excuses, no more perfection. Just do it. Just do it, sis. Just do it, bro. Just do it. Just do that thing that you know you are called to do, that is burning in your heart, and trust that God is going to provide. Trust that God is going to open the right doors. Trust that God is going to order your steps. Trust that He will never leave you nor forsake you. Trust that He is making a way. And that is needed. Your gifts are needed. Your talents are needed. Don't listen to the lies that says, oh, it's oversaturated. It's overdone. There's more than enough podcasts. There's more than enough books. There's more than enough events. There's more than enough retreats. There's more than enough people doing this and that. There's not more than enough of you. There's only one of you. And God has given you a specific call and a specific anointing and a specific assignment and a specific purpose. And you are called for such a time as this. So I encourage you to be confident in that. All right. So we're going to take a quick break, because in the podcast, they like to take breaks and they make announcements and stuff. So I guess that we're going to do that. So, okay. Huge announcement. Hey guys, vote for me for the Haiti Open competition. I think it's the last day to vote. Right now, I think I'm in 18th place. I need to make it into the top 15th to be considered for the top 5. But this is an important thing that I'm doing for Haiti. You guys know my heart for Haiti as a Haitian American, as a former Mrs. Haiti International, as someone who has been working on a lot of things behind the scenes that I can't talk about now for Haiti. Please be a part of this movement. Please be a part of this and just vote for me. I'll put the link in the description. My next announcement is I'm going to be hosting another writers brunch. It's going to be taking place in Lakeland, Florida. If you're anywhere in the Central Florida or Florida area, or if you want to travel from out of town, that's cool too. It is going to be a brunch happening on June 22nd next month. In the summer, we're going to have tons of amazing food, guided writing, book swap, networking, games, giveaways, meet other like-minded women writers. It's going to be amazing. So if you are a writer, you do not have to be a professional writer. If you're a blogger, if you're a screenwriter, if you just are a storyteller, if you just want to be in a room with other women and eat some good food and be inspired and play some games, like if you just want to be there, I invite you to come out, come and spend the time with us. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, so that was that announcement. Last thing that I want to talk about, it is Haitian Heritage Month, right? So I talked about the voting for me, but it is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And one of the things that recently took place or recently happened to me, this also happened the day I went to the community service meeting. I walked out. One of the ladies who's part of the meeting, she knows that I'm doing the Miss Florida USA pageant. She's like, "Are you okay?" And she seemed really concerned. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good." And she's like, "I just want to make sure because you're doing this pageant thing. And I'm aware of what happened to the former Mrs. USA. If any of you guys are familiar with Chesley Chris' story." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Yes, I'm fine." And she's like, "If you're ever struggling, if you are ever in need of anything, or in need of anyone to talk to, don't be afraid to reach out, because I know in pageantry, there can be a lot of pressure to be perfect. There can be a lot of pressure to perform." And I appreciate her reaching out. I had to tell her, like, that's not my situation. Like, God delivered me from that perfectionist performance mindset. I think she just was concerned because she saw I was emotional in the meeting, like I was crying. And it was more, and she thought it was like the pressure of me being in the pageant, but it was more so because I was discovering like, wow, my purpose really is to serve. So that's why I was emotional, but I still appreciate her concern. And I feel like sharing that story is very relevant. And I told her, like, I know who I am. Like, I'm confident. I know why I'm doing this pageant. It's not for, it's not for validation. It's not because I don't know. Like, I know exactly what my assignment is and I have a purpose. But at the same time, there are women and there are people who may find themselves in this industry and may struggle with different mental health issues and may struggle with comparison and may struggle with not feeling good enough. And whether you're in the pageant industry or not, and if you're someone who struggles with that, I really want to encourage you to speak to someone, to know that you're not alone, to know that you're valued, to know that you matter. And it's very important to open up. I don't want you to suffer in silence and feel like you need to have it all together and hold it all together. And recently, the current Miss USA, Noelia Voigt, resigned from being Miss USA. And I'm proud of her for making that decision for her mental health, just for caring for herself. Because a lot of us don't make those decisions to protect our peace until it's too late. And, I don't know the whole situation or the details of why she did what she did, but regardless of the details surrounding it, I'm proud of her for taking the step to doing what is best for her. And sometimes we have to be our best advocate, because sometimes we don't have anyone there to advocate for us. And I want you to advocate for yourself. If you find any strength within you, to advocate for yourself and push yourself to ask for help, push yourself to say no, push yourself to say, I'm not accepting that. I'm not dealing with that. And if I could be honest, that is something I had to deal with recently. I went through some hurt by, in a relationship. I can say it was a friendship. Went through some hurt, realized things that had bothered me that unfortunately throughout the process of the relationship, I was not advocating for myself. I was not voicing my truth. I was not being honest and saying, hey, this hurt my feelings, or hey, I didn't feel good about, when this happened, or hey, can we have a conversation about this? And when you are silent and you don't speak up and you just brush things under the rug because you're afraid of offending, you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and that just festers and that grows, it's really hurting you. And, that person didn't receive, when I finally came out and shared, that person didn't receive it well. And that's the reality. People are not always going to receive well when you finally share that you've been hurting. But guess what? Guess who received it well? I did. My soul, my spirit, my sanity, my mental health. I needed that. And I needed that to heal. And that is why my platform as Miss Lakeland USA, and as even going into this pageant, is be heard and be healed. Because a lot of us are dying inside and we're hurting because we're not being heard. We're hurting because we're not heard. And when we make the decision to break the silence and use our voice and speak up, then we can walk in healing. Then we are empowered. Then we are strengthened, because there is power in your words. There is power in your voice. So I am so proud of Noelia Voigt for just taking that initiative and standing up for herself and speaking. And I want to be a role model for young girls, but other women as well, to not be afraid to use your voice and speak up and speak the truth, even when it's hard, even when they might not take it well, even when people don't agree. Be heard and be healed. Okay, so I'm going to take this last break to say, if anyone is struggling, I encourage you to sign up for my sponsor, BetterHelp, where you can speak to a licensed counselor about any issues that you're facing and just receive some encouragement, receive some guidance, get a listening ear. I'm going to put the link in the description. I believe they also have scholarships available for those of you guys who need, but they will pair you with someone. And even if you don't like the person that they've paired you with, they can pair you with someone else. This is something, that I've also tried, this program. So it could definitely be helpful to you if you're walking through a hard time right now. You don't have to walk through life alone. So yeah, guys, those are the random things that were on my heart to share today. This was not planned out, but I was like, I'm getting the podcast mic. I'm getting on. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm speaking what's on my heart and mind, and I'm using my voice. So I hope you guys enjoyed episode 1 of this podcast. Don't know what it's called. Maybe I'll come up with a name depending on what you guys share in the comments. And if it's your first time on my channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you enjoyed this podcast, leave it a thumbs up. Don't be afraid to share this podcast episode with a friend. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next podcast episode. Until next time, bye.